we get to talk to the director of Jesus Revolution. So stay tuned. I'm adding him in right now. We love this movie, and we know you will too. You've probably seen it already. I couldn't get enough. I wanted to just watch the movie right over the second time because it was so good. Andy Erwin, I'm so thankful. Just thank you for creating this movie. Thank you. It was such a blessing. We got done watching the film, and I'm sure pretty much everybody watching right now has watched the film. We got done watching the film, my husband GJ and I just looked at him and I'm like, wow, that was so good. Like, even right now I'm getting goosebumps. It was so good, so well done. And I mean, it's been months since I've seen it, right? Or the first time I saw it. It was so good and so impactful. I just want to start out with this. First of all, it is now available on digital. You can give kind of more the fine details on the digital part. I just want to say, I want to start out with this because we want to bring others to Jesus because of this film. This is my idea for everyone. The next time you have a family movie night, the next time you do a friends movie night, I want you to have Jesus Revolution ready to go. If they're at your house, just say, hey, this is the movie we're watching tonight. It's available on digital and everybody can watch it. So Andy, thank you for making this movie because I believe so many people will come to Jesus because of what you
Thank you, Alita. I tell you what, I'm just going to shut up, let you talk the whole time. Your enthusiasm selling the movie, like I'm just going to say what she said. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. That's awesome.
Well, I have a lot more to say, but everybody's really here to listen to you. Tell me, how did this film get started? Why did you
I appreciate it. I think
to focus on this
it was a
film
team effort for sure, and really the credit for this one goes to my brother Jon. Jon just really had a passion for this story. We did a movie about 9 years ago, called Woodlawn. And Woodlawn told the story of this football team in Birmingham, Alabama, was one of the last schools to integrate, and this spiritual awakening hit the school in the midst of a lot of racial tension. And this revival broke out. Well, it was on the tail end of the Jesus movement, or the Jesus Revolution. And my brother found this magazine, for Time magazine, from I think it was 1971 or 72. And it had Jesus, a portrait of Jesus on the cover, like a mural of him. And on it, it said the Jesus Revolution. And then he went back an additional 3 years, and there was a cover of Time magazine that was all black and just said, "Is God dead?" And he just started asking himself, what in the world happened in those 3 to 4 years between those two Time magazine covers? And he became obsessed with it. And he's like, I've heard about the Jesus movement. We told the after effects of it on this high school, but what actually happened? And as he did the research, he was like, there's another movie to make here. And so he started working on it. He dug in and was like, and this, 2 years ago when we started production, he just said, this is the year. We're doing it this year. And so Brent McCorkle, who co-directed the film with him, who's a hippie at heart, he came along and just told an amazing movie, amazing story. And then the cast that assembled with, Kelsey Grammer playing Chuck Smith, and Joel Courtney playing Greg Laurie, and of course Jonathan Roumie from The Chosen playing the hippie evangelist Lonnie Frisbee. It was fantastic, and a period of time where the gospel and Christianity was both overt and counterculture. And those two things normally don't go together, but they're in this moment in time in the early 1970s among the hippie culture. Jesus really moved in a way we've never seen since.
It's such a great story. I had the honor of actually interviewing Kathy Laurie a while back. And yeah, she is beautiful heart for the Lord. And, we just talked about our prayer is for Jesus Revolution to create a new revival. Why do you think that this story is
that's a good
so
question, Leah. I think
right now
the reason why I feel like it is very relevant is for yourself and me. I don't think any of our generation has ever seen a move of God's Spirit to this magnitude. We've seen pockets of it, but we've never seen what we witnessed on screen with this film. But it was a period of time where God just moved in such a massive way. And if you look at the temperature of culture in the late 1960s, it's very similar to right now. These weren't like bad kids going out and searching for bad things. These were kids that were really disillusioned with society. They were done with the Vietnam War. There was protests. There was a lot of assassinations. Yep. The drug culture had promised that it was going to really be what enlightened people to finding God, and the bottom dropped out, and people were just losing hope. And in the midst of that kind of gumbo stew, God's Spirit stepped in and just started saving the hippies, and people didn't think hippies could get saved. And so I think right now it's a very similar thing where, like, in culture, people are looking for all the right things. I think at times they're looking to belong, they're looking for identity, they're looking for justice, and they're looking for meaning, and ultimately they're looking for God. They're just looking for it in places they can't find it. And I think there's a desperation for God to do it again. And I think the cool thing with this movie was, 3 weeks before we hit theaters, the Asbury revival at Asbury College in Kentucky broke out. And the crazy little factoid, like if you want to go deep under the hood, the original Jesus revolution, Jesus movement, it started in two places. It started on the West Coast, that's the story we told, which it started in San Francisco. It was at the intersection of two streets in San Francisco where it first started. The streets were Haight and Asbury, so the Haight-Asbury area. And then it started 50 years ago as well at Asbury College in Kentucky. And I don't know what it is about that word. I don't know but God obviously moved in those places in the 70s. And 3 weeks before our film came out, this revival breaks out at Asbury that sweeps across the country, 30 other college campuses. And it was just, God was already on the move. Our movie just got to come along and harmonize with it.
Wow, yep. I love that. And, I always say people are looking for hope in all the wrong places, right? The true hope is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And a lot of people just go looking in so many different places. And really, that's what Jesus Revolution shows over and over and over. They were looking for the truth. They were looking for hope. They were looking for what can I hold on to instead of letting go. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is that so many people came together and found the one true hope. And that's what my hope is when people are watching this film, that's what they see, that they see
absolutely
that Jesus is the answer
that's the case. I mean, it's just
that they
the desire,
in their entire life.
For these kids is they were going out and they were searching for God. They were told that LSD and drugs was going to unlock their brain, and then they were going to find God, and then the bottom dropped out and it got really dark. But the cool thing is God met them there. Jesus really did show up, and these kids that they called themselves freaks, they found Jesus and became Jesus freaks. And that's where the term came from, and in this period of time. And Jonathan Roumie from The Chosen plays Lonnie Frisbee, this hippie evangelist that kind of was part of that San Francisco movement. And there's something just magnetic about the way he plays the character. But I think there was something really interesting about this group of people that I think have a lot to say to this generation.
Yeah. Tell us some stories of while you were filming. I mean, you have some amazing Jonathan Roumie, Kelsey Grammer, tell me some stories. Give me some behind the scenes.
First of all, Kelsey Grammer as legendary pastor Chuck Smith, who started the Calvary Chapel denomination. Chuck was the first to kind of open the doors of the church to the hippies, and God just used this guy in a massive way. And so we had to have somebody that had the gravitas of that character, and Kelsey Grammer, who a lot of people know from Frasier and Cheers and numerous other movies. Kelsey was on his back porch one night, and he was saying he was having a moment of prayer and reflection with God. It was not really, really ingrained in his faith at that point, but he just was kind of exploring and just saying, God, I want something in my life to matter. I want to do something that matters. And the next morning, the script for Jesus Revolution ends up on his desk, and his agent had passed it along to consider the role, and he looked at it and said, I think I'm going to do this movie. And he came in and just gave such a special performance, and he on interviews, like on the Tonight Show and other things, he broke down in tears a couple of times talking about this was the most important thing he'd ever done. And then I saw an interview the other day where he told the person, he said, you know, I've always known a lot about Jesus, but on this movie, I really found Jesus. And I think there's really a personal connection that he has with God now through playing this role in a whole new profound way. So that was cool. And then we were doing these mass baptisms at Pirates Cove in California. And, you know, Jonathan Roumie is baptizing some and Kelsey's baptizing others. Jonathan comes up to the real Greg Laurie in real life in between takes and said, hey, Greg, can you tell me how to really baptize people? Because these extras are coming up and asking me to baptize them for real, and I don't want to screw it up. So, like, these mass baptisms were happening at the place where we were reenacting it. And one little cool story, there's a small cameo role of a Vietnam vet that's a drug addicted in a wheelchair. And the actor that plays that role is a guy named Shaun Weiss. Shaun Weiss, for those of you that are around my age, I grew up watching the Mighty Ducks, the Disney movies. Shaun was the goalie, Goldberg, in the Mighty Ducks movies. And there was a story that had come out while we were casting the movie that Shaun, after the Mighty Ducks and after being a kid actor, had gotten addicted to drugs. I think it was meth, and ended up being homeless on the streets of Los Angeles. And he had just started trying to get his life back together, and it had hit social media. I think TMZ had picked it up, and some others had run with the story. Well, our bosses at Lionsgate came to us and said, this is kind of like one of the guys in the story that you're telling the story about. How would you feel about Shaun being in the movie? And so Brent and my brother Jon said, that's a great idea. Let's put him in the movie. So we did. And when we got to that scene at the Pirates Cove where he's going to be baptized, he went up to Greg Laurie and he said, I really want to make this decision for real. Can you help me make that decision and baptize me for real before we do this scene? And it was just one of those, you know, God moments. So over and over again along the way, it was a story that had something massive to say, not because of what the movie is, but because of what the original people went through. And just to kind of get a glimpse of that was just, it was an honor.
I love that so much. Share with us, how does watching this digital work? I know that there's different release dates.
It's
Tell
been
us
exciting.
all the details. A lot of make sure everybody knows how they can watch it at home.
You used to have to wait till after a movie had been out of theaters for 3 or 4 months, and then eventually you can, you know, download it or buy the DVD or the Blu-ray. Now it happens so quickly, and so we're still in theaters right now. So if people want to go to theaters and watch it, it's in theaters, and so that's one way to watch it. But now they have it where you can watch it digital at home, and it's a shorter window where when we're still in theaters, you can watch it at home if that's what you prefer. So it's everywhere that you buy digital movies right now, for, you know, on your computer, on your device, your TV. So you can get it on, you know, on like Amazon, on, you know, Apple TV, all those type places. You can download the movie there and buy it to watch at home. And then if you're like me and you like kind of a hard copy and something to have to sit on your bookshelf, that comes, I'm old school, I still read the newspaper, but that comes out at the end of April, I think around I want to say 27th, it's either 25th or the 27th, but it's coming out soon. So watch it at home. And I loved your suggestion of inviting your friends and neighbors over and just having a movie party. Watch it at home, invite some people that don't know the Lord. It's a great conversation starter.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being on and sharing with everybody. We are just praying that this is beyond wildly successful and creating the revival that we need right now. And so that's our prayer. We're praying alongside you.
I appreciate you, Alita, and thank you for everything that Women of Faith does. You guys
so thank you for
have been a champion and blazing a trail, and we're grateful to be in the battle with you. All right, talk soon. Bye.
Absolutely.